my name is Serena Chaudhry, and we're here today at EPIC NOLA, and we're having a conversation with Dylan about what recovery and treatment have looked like at our clinic. And our hope is that this helps to inspire more people to seek treatment and help when they need it, and to better understand what psychosis is and how it impacts people's lives.
And I'm Ashley Weiss. I'm the psychiatrist here that have been Dylan's psychiatrist for a number of years.
So why don't we start today's conversation with your version, Dylan, of your journey to EPIC and what your experience has been here with us.
Okay. Well, I was first diagnosed with schizophrenia when I was 17. And 30 days after hearing voices in my head, I immediately told my parents, and I offered to check myself into rehab. And it was very scary.
And what was scary for you?
Hearing voices in my head was the main thing. Also, I had this paranoia of being put in a mental institution and having the key thrown away.
That is super scary, and I think it's like an experience or a fear that a lot of people have. So how did you work past that fear to like take that step towards getting help?
I knew I had to improve my act of how I lived my life, and I knew I needed the help of my family and the doctors. Yeah, I knew I had to stay on my meds because it was bad. Like, paranoia was a crippling fear. It felt like walls were closing in around me all the time. I wasn't even able to go to a store without having a panic attack.
Yeah, it's like exhausting just to think about it.
Yeah, it's like it felt like every demon in the world was in my head, just whispering to me very bad things.
How did you get from rehab to EPIC?
At first, I was at a different doctor's clinic with a different psychiatrist, and it evolved to a point where I told them I need a new psychiatrist because it wasn't working out with my previous one, and the previous medicine I was on was not helping at all, and I needed a new change.
Well, I think this was an interesting moment for us as a team when you decided you wanted to get off of your injection.
Yes.
And we were at this point where you wanted to get off, and we wanted to support you in that, even though we were unsure of what would happen with you getting off. And so I remember us sitting down with you and your mom and making a plan about how we could do that safely and how we could ensure that you would be okay if you started to feel unwell.
Well, the main reason I tried to force getting off of it with my doctors and my parents, I almost got arrested one time because I had a very bad rage panic attack, I guess I'll call it. I knocked over a whole shelf thing of alcohol.
I remember that.
So that was not cool. And I didn't like how my previous psychiatrist was telling me I was going to be on it the rest of my life. So I knew I had to change in order to get to a better place.
What was going on that you felt like you wanted to make a change and explore another medication option?
I just wanted something to calm me down, to relieve the anxiety, to relieve the paranoia, relieve the depression, and the new medicine is working.
I thought it was like the coolest thing to, because we had been seeing each other for probably a year, maybe a year and a half, and you were working with Serena weekly in therapy. And when you were kind of like, yeah, I'm ready. And it was like totally your call because we had come to this like agreement that, or we had come to this understanding that your experiences was your reality. Then I had my own reality, and we had decided like what we shared in terms of reality, and you were, and I felt comfortable enough to say like, I feel like I'm having trouble understanding your communication, and you usually communicate so smoothly and well. And you were like, you came back the next time, and you were like, yeah, I'm ready, and that was a big learning experience for me.
I got my willpower back. I stopped feeling paranoid. And so there's no cookie cutter way to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like I think you've done a really good job of communicating what's working and what's not working. And my hope is that we've done a good job of listening and that we've like been able to work together as a team to help you get to where you want to go and feel better and have your willpower. And that takes a lot of trust, right? And I think like that trust is evolved over many, many years of working together and listening and communicating. And so I feel very appreciative of your willingness to trust us and communicate your needs.
One of the things that we had talked about a few weeks ago was kind of the having to like combine different, like you said, it's all about perception. And I would love for you to share like your thoughts about that. I think that that's what you've like taught us over time is how to like, that we can operate together with this, with a therapeutic relationship with people that have different perspectives and different perceptions, and that you can still come to like be like aligned.
About 3.5 years ago, I came to a realization that these voices aren't going away, and I don't want to take a medicine that's going to make the good voices go away. I have to deal with the bad voices. So I've been playing computer games all my life, and I just had an epiphany one day where I told myself to see my schizophrenia this way. The bad voices are just like someone on the internet in a video game just talking shit. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's how I taught myself how to see it. It's not these demons or aliens most of the time, but it's the way you change how you can see the bad feelings that the voices bring upon you. You can fight it back. Like when I started imaginary punching the bad voices in the face, and then they would just stop talking to me. Yeah, and I would think out loud, like I was yelling out loud, like being angry, like cursing, swearing in my head out loud. Like I could hear like an echo going through the atmosphere, and the bad voices just over the past 3 years have just slowly dwindled away. So perception of a fight is the first step to a victory.
Yeah, it's like you were kind of taking back like control.
Yeah, because they told me to do bad things. it got to a point where I was in a store with my dad and I would walk by these random people I'd never met and voices would tell me, they're going to kill you. You got to kill them first. And immense crippling fear. I would tell my dad, we got to leave. I'm having a panic attack. This was like 5 or 7 years ago. I would get in fights with my parents all the time. Sometimes you have to take initiative and your life is at stake, especially when that stuff's happening. You have to find a way to survive. Otherwise you end up dead, in jail, or in a mental institute.
Yeah, I was going to ask you to talk a little bit more about some of the things that have helped you, right? Help you to cope, help you to manage the bad voices.
Yeah, music, number one. I listen to a lot of sort of fantasy metal from the Viking lands, the 3 nations over there, who talk about like Honor of the Heart and Heart of Steel, all that good stuff. The company you keep around you. I had to get rid of all of my friends who I grew up with during school because they were taking me down a bad path and I did not want to go down it. Diet, very helpful. Specifically, don't drink alcohol if you have schizophrenia, because it'll mess with the meds, plus it'll just make you angry and bitter at the world and your loved ones who are trying to help you. It was scary. And it's like something was just on my shoulder whispering me what to do, when to do it, how to avoid the bad things.
Tell us about you mentioned like the good voices and the things that are in your experiences that are actually helpful or that you feel are supportive and not as fear-provoking.
So my good voices are basically people who I've had life experiences with in previous lifetimes. It ranges from angels, elves, dwarves, dragons, fairies. It's very euphoric when I'm in the zone, when I'm talking to the good voices. The weird part I'm still dealing with is the hallucinations of actually seeing them. I'm still dealing with that. It's not a bad thing, it's just I go into like these modes of personalities or personas where like when I'm at my house, I have complete control over my perspective of the dream world, but when I'm out the house, it's like I'm sort of chained to a very obedient person because of what I believe I'm capable of, like superpowers and stuff, but just mortal bindings, I call them.
What was it like for you to share all of that with us over the years?
I have no idea. I'm telling what I believe is the truth, but it is very difficult to prove it. It's like I'm reading a book in my head, only I can see, and it's like it's going on 13 years now of just this adventure.
One of the things you were talking about, like the difference between being at home and being in control and being outside of the home. I know we've talked about how that is difficult to leave, but I really have seen like a ton of progress that you've made over the years in going out of the home and being more comfortable. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you manage to go out of the house now and feel more comfortable.
Well, the bad voices are gone. Almost. There's like, out of all the ones I've heard, I don't know how many there were, but they were like, it was like a blended sound or feeling when I was engaged with them. But I basically would wake up in the middle of the night with these chest pains felt like poison in my lungs or something. And I would go outside and I would hallucinate people in my backyard and I would just fight them. And eventually it got to a point where more and more scarier looking beings would show up, and I would just kinetically throw a dagger and end it. So getting rid of my bad voices was fighting for my life, self-defense, something. It's pretty scary when you go outside your backyard and you see vampires float down from the sky.
And so in the absence of, right, those bad voices, you've been able to go outside of the house more. And what are some of the things you like to do when you go out?
Shopping. I like shopping, looking for cool stuff to put on my walls. Pictures, dream catchers. Yeah, my mom takes me to go to antique shops, look at cool stuff, try and find a diamond in the rough. We go out to eat every now and then. I used to be able not to do that. Now I can without fear of whatever the hell they were telling me.
I'm going to give you a shout out because something you've been doing a lot more that you didn't used to do is...
Exercising.
Yes.
Yeah, I like exploring, hiking, camping.
Is there anything else that you would want to share with someone who's considering getting help for symptoms of psychosis?
Trust your instinct. If something does not feel right, seek help. This is not something you want to mess with. I thought I was going to be able to just go through life smoking pot and listening to voices, but reality hit me hard of these roads that I have foreseen that I did not want to go down, of things I've been fighting. Yeah, seek help. Seek help. They have a lot of people nowadays who are helping with mental challenges and this clinic has really turned my life around.
What would you tell other mental health professionals though that they need to do different and they need to do better when it comes to helping people with psychosis?
Be very open-minded. The perception of what the schizophrenic believes is happening is very misconstrued at first. I know that. But the thing I believe that allowed me to get out of this hell so fast was my gaming knowledge of just these fantasy and sci-fi worlds where telepathy or schizophrenia is sort of like a supernatural bio something. Recommend they learn how to game. Or at least just the lore of worlds beyond our own. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have it in that sphere, the gaming world. I know it's all a stigma of these lazy people who just don't know how to, I don't know, whatever. I've had that stigma placed on me, but it's very alluring, the gaming worlds that people have built. So when bad voices would tell me to do things, I had to find out a way to combat it, and I believe that that helped me, especially calling in good voices to help with the bad voices.
Yeah, so it sounds like your experience of like different worlds through gaming, you can kind of compare to experience of different worlds of maybe your experience with schizophrenia, and that people need to be open-minded, that people can have different experiences that can coexist, and not tell somebody that it's not real.
I like to see it like this: life is not a chess game; it is a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Chess is for noobs. You gotta play D&D.
Well, that brings us to something that I think you're very good about doing, is bringing humor into the therapeutic realm. And I really appreciated that over the years, right? Like, this is hard, this is scary, and there's been a lot of like unknowns along the way, but I think you've been able to take a step back and bring some humor in, make us laugh, and help us find the courage to take another step forward.
Yes, gaming helped me with that too. Being able to humiliate your opponent.
I remember when you brought in the book that you needed me to look at,
The Pathfinder Paranormal book.
so I could understand where you were coming from.
Yes.
And
This is everything we go through on a book.
I appreciated that.
Yeah. I guess that was one other thing I think that has been really helpful from like a clinic standpoint in working towards your recovery, is you bringing in different components and aspects of your personality in life. We talked about the humor. You talked about music. You brought music in for us to listen to help us understand where you've been at emotionally. You've shared your art with us and with the community here. You've been like,
It's like a partnership.
yeah.
Yeah, I am stuck though with this. I don't know what to call it. I guess disability for now until someone says a better word. I could not live on my own. I could not do a lot of things on my own at the current time, but find the right doctor. There's no shame in saying I would like a new doctor.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan.